It's week 8 for the Kings College football team, and we are once again joined by Monarch head football coach Jeff Knarr. Coach, thanks for being with us again today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Coach, this week Kings has a huge game as the Monarchs host Lycoming College at 1 p.m. at McCarthy Stadium on Saturday. But first, let's talk briefly about last week's game at Delaware Valley. Coach, your team pulled off an extremely hard-fought 21-14 overtime victory against an outstanding Delaware Valley College team. It was a game where you had to fight for everything on both sides of the ball, and there was not a lot of scoring opportunities. You tied it up on a touchdown with just over 2 minutes to go, and then won it in the first overtime period. Talk about that effort your team gave and some of the very critical moments that stand out in your mind.
I mean, the effort was outstanding. They played hard for 60 minutes, and then they had to play hard, for extra time. So it was good to see that the kids never wavered or anything from that standpoint in the past. They went down and converted that first drive for a touchdown. And in the past, our kids, their confidence would have waned and doubt would have crept in, and they just made the adjustments necessary. And then during that drive, Del Valle converted 2 third downs, and for the rest of the day, they didn't convert any third down opportunities. So our defense did a phenomenal job of keeping us in the football game and playing hard and creating turnovers and getting stops and giving the ball to our offense. And then they packed the box. The wind was 25 miles an hour, so the wind was a huge factor for the pass game. So that made it difficult to run, but we did a good job pass. Our kids did a great job protecting our quarterback. I think it was the best way we have against Del Valle, because they're a very multiple blitz, heavy pressure type of a team. And then Tyler did a good job completing 18 passes. So we did the things we needed to do, to kind of move the ball down and then set up scores. And obviously our defense with the turnover, created a short field for our offense. And then when we needed to drive, our guys put it together. And then we got the run game going, which stood out as we ran the ball every play, in that overtime, and kind of warmed down and got after them a little bit. And then that fed into our defense, who 4 straight plays shut them down. So it was just a great team effort, and it was good to see our kids just fight from the beginning to the end.
The Del Valle defense also played very well in the game, yet down the stretch and in overtime, our offense was able to execute its best with the game on the line. What does it say about our offense and the confidence they gained from an effort like that?
That they're maturing and growing up, and then again they realize that maybe things aren't going our way early on in the game, or a certain aspect isn't going, and then we need to rely and lean on some other things. Like I said, we couldn't get the run game going with the wind and then packing the box because of that, but that created opportunities in the pass game that we had to make, and we had, so then our our linemen, then their goal was to be great at pass protection, and they were, and then we had to complete more passes than we have been, and we were almost 58%, and probably could have been a little bit better.
There was a period of time midway through the second quarter where Delaware Valley was leading 7-0, and both teams turned the ball over on 4 straight possessions around the midfield area. How significant was that period for us in that the defense really kept us in the game when Delaware Valley had opportunities to extend the lead to 14-0, possibly 21-0, but we're not able to?
I mean, that's huge. Again, showing their maturity and their confidence that we turn over, we give them a bad starting spot, and then they don't worry about it. They go out there and they're going to get a stop or create a turnover, and they were able to create turnovers and get the ball back to us from there. So again, they're playing with confidence that they realize they can stop anybody at any point on the field, and then also they have the confidence that they're going to be able to create a turnover when needed, and they're doing that. So it was great to see them, have an outstanding game and then, keep us in that football game.
Okay, Coach, let's go back to the overtime. We're in overtime, we get the ball first, and we go right in to score to go ahead 21-14. Now Delaware Valley gets the ball. They run for 2 yards, then we stuff them at the line for no gain. Then a third down, they drop a pass to set up a 4th and 8 to keep their drive alive. We then get a great pass rush. Ron Garrett flushes their quarterback out of the pocket, and the freshman linebacker, James Burke, knocks down the pass. Game over. What was that moment like, beginning with the start of the play until its conclusion?
Exciting, because right there, we told him his recording, told the kids, hey, you make a play, you win the football game. And our kids, you had that, you could see the look was different than the last time, because they've done this and they were excited. They had all the momentum. It's 4th and 8. They have Del Valle backed into a corner. Now they just got to finish them. And it was, right from the get-go. So when the kid dropped back, you saw, Ronnie get great pressure, force him to the outside. And then I looked deep and saw, our safeties, our corners, were all over their guys. There was nobody open. And that kid was just trying to heave it and hope for a prayer. He had no one to throw to. We had great coverage, and then we got great pressure and get the pass deflection, and then the celebration was able to ensue for our kids.
Coach, you're in your 4th year at Kings, and you're trying to rebuild the program, and the improvement is obvious to those of us who are on the inside. But the one thing that was lacking was a win against a signature opponent. By beating Delaware Valley on Saturday, you now have that win. What does it mean to the program, the current players, and for recruiting to get a win like that?
I mean, it's huge because, again, our kids are working hard, and like you said, there was obvious signs for the ones that hear day to day of what we're improving upon, but then people ultimately judge you on wins and losses, and eventually need to get those to continue to move the program forward. So it was great to see our kids then start to do that and put wins together, and then now they had a chance to get themselves to play a meaningful football game last Saturday against a 4-time 4 of the last 5 years conference champion, and then they go battle head to head with them and get that win. Then that boosts their confidence and helps move us up that ladder a little quicker, and that this is a program that they know that on every Saturday they can compete with the best in the MAC. So they shouldn't be take that field with that confidence and play well. And then it helps in recruiting as you're trying to get good student athletes that want to come here, and then they're looking for an experience that's going to be positive and a chance to compete for a championship. And now you get a win like this, and now you got the proof's in the pudding, as they say. You can tell recruits, hey, you come here and we are going to be able to compete with the best in the MAC year in year out, and you can be a part of that.
Moving on, this week Kings hosts another traditional MAC power in Lycoming. So how does it feel to be in week 8 of the season and be playing a game that has a major significance for the first time since you took over at Kings?
It's very exciting. Our kids are excited about that. They're looking for the challenge. They know it's going to be, same as last week. It's going to be, a real tough football game. It's going to take all 60 minutes, a great effort to win, but they're excited about that challenge because they are. Like in the 8th week of the football season, there's meaningful football to be played, and it's through their hard work that they got us there. So it's an exciting atmosphere. Our kids are looking forward to the week and the practices and looking forward to the challenge on Saturday. So it's definitely a great feeling.
Lycoming is a team that you can probably argue is as old school as any team in the conference. They're not a program with a lot of gimmicks. For the most part, they line up, play you straight, and in most cases, they have the personnel and confidence to just go out and challenge you to stop them on both sides of the ball. Do you think that is an accurate assessment of them?
Yes. I mean, they're well coached, physical football team. They're gonna get after you. And then that's why they're one of the better teams in the conference from that standpoint. I mean, defensively, they do a phenomenal job. I mean, they kind of just line up and play hard, and they're well coached, and they read blocks well, they read routes well, and then they just fly to the football, and they tackle very, very well from that standpoint. So they do a great job of stuffing the run and trying to make you one-dimensional from there. So we've had some success 2 of the last 3 years of throwing the football, but we haven't really had any success kind of sustaining a run game against them. So we gotta try to battle that way. Then offensively, I mean, they're pro style, kind of like us. You see a lot of similarities in there, and they like to ride their tailback, who's very good, and run the ball. Then they have 2 very good receivers and a good quarterback, so they can throw it. So they mix it up and keep you off balance from there. But they're gonna if they can run it at you and pound it at you, they're going to come right at you and then not try to hide it.
Junior quarterback Tyler Jenny might be the most underappreciated good quarterback in the league. He's a player who is very accurate, completing 64% of his passes, but he's also very athletic and can make things happen with his feet. His escapability can cause a lot of problems for opposing defenses as well. So how do you defend a player like Jenny who can cause a lot of problems with his variety of skills?
I mean, the same way, the attack we had with, that we prepared for last week, think we were going to see, Wilmer or, the Santos kid at FDU or, even the kid from Misericordia from that deal. You got to, do your 111, make sure you're in your pass rush lanes and not allow him to extend plays. You got great coverage. Then you got to put the pressure on and make him throw it away or get a sack, not allow him to escape and run for a huge gain from that standpoint, because that's just a huge momentum, builder for them and a letdown for us from defensively. So, I would definitely agree. He's definitely very underappreciated, underrated quarterback, but I mean, he does a lot of good things and makes a lot of things happen. So our kids have got to be, disciplined in their pass rush and disciplined in their coverages, on Saturday.
Well, Jenny also has a very good set of receivers to throw to. Talk about that group.
Yeah, I mean, they're athletic, they're quick. I mean, we recruited the Umpleby kid Really liked him a lot, on his high school film, and he's lived up to what we saw, and kind of thought he would be from a college football player. So they have athletic receivers that can hit the big play, but then they find ways to get open, and then Jenny's be able to hit them. So they have definitely a great passing attack to go along with a solid run game as well.
And at tailback, their junior Craig Needhammer has split carries the past 2 years, but this year he's now the feature back. He's not particularly big at around 170 pounds, but he is as tough as any runner in the MAC. He's currently third in the conference, averaging around 116 yards per game. What makes him such a special player?
He runs hard. They have a good line, and then he's got good vision, and that's the thing that make a good back great is that vision, to be able to see some holes or seams that that aren't there, and then be able to hit it before a defensive guy can get there, and he's able to do that. Then he's but he's well weight trained, and he can lower his shoulder and then deliver a blow and get those tough yards when they need it as well. So he's a good, complete all around back.
Defensively, Lycoming is not particularly big, but they always seem to be a very stout unit, and this year is no exception. They rank third in MAC scoring defense and allowing just 17.6 points per game, but they also rank third in MAC total defense, rushing defense, and pass defense. So clearly this is a quality defensive unit in all aspects of the game. What is it about the Lycoming defense that makes them so good?
Well, they're well coached. I think their D-line is probably the best coached unit in the MAC. And then when they line them up, they put them in positions where it's hard to get to their backers. And then their middle backers, the conference player of the year defensively, and he has tremendous speed and he's powerful from there. But so it's hard to get to those guys. So you don't get double teams, and you got a single block, and those guys are strong. They'll be the biggest guys on their D line, but they're very strong and they're very technically sound. They know when they're getting double teamed, they know when they're getting zoned, they know when they're getting base blocked, and they know how to defeat those blocks from there. And they got very good athletic guys in the secondary, and they're not afraid to play man, and they do a good job and use good technique in covering your receivers.
Well, Coach, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us again, and good luck to you and the Monarchs on Saturday when Kings plays host to Lycoming College at 1 p.m. at McCarthy Stadium.
All right, thanks for having me.